Good morning, this is Paul, and today I'd like to show some of the damage that has occurred after this intense heat wave we had in 2020. So last week we had some temperatures hitting 111 degrees, 109 degrees the following day, and a few days prior it was in the 100 range or so. So you can see what happens. Even if I water my bacon avocado here in the morning and at night, I even spray the leaves in the morning with water and in the afternoon, doesn't matter. This is the sunny side, so you can see that the damage is worse on the sun facing side. Now this tree is over a decade old now, or 9 years old, and I'm not gonna say I take the best care of it, but it definitely gets fertilized and is cared for. And luckily this year, for the first time, it now has kept its fruit during a heat wave. In the years prior, it would drop most of the fruit, so I'm excited I will have some bacon avocados in the near future. In addition, the world's fastest growing tree, the Brazilian fern tree, doesn't really care about the heat. I think it's decided it's over it for the year, so it's probably gonna lose most of its leaves. And especially as temperatures die down, it'll just become a big stick. So it's not that pretty, but it's kicking it into fall. So I'm not worried about that. Now here's my other avocado tree. This is a Hass avocado. I strongly suggest having these two varieties to cross-pollinate because they've been very, very productive. But as you can see with that heat wave, it's almost why so many of the avocado businesses are going under in Southern California, because this thing happens. So after a heat wave, the fruit can rot or ripen, or it's just something's gonna happen. It just kind of cooks it. So in my opinion, avocados are just they're just gonna fade in Southern California with time, as these intense heat waves just devastate the crops, in my opinion. Now, if you have very, very mature trees, I'm sure the damage would not be as severe. But either way, it's a really big bummer because there was a lot of fruit on this tree, and now there's just a few. All right, let's go see what else we can find. Now, I'm really happy to report that my dragon bamboo, Dendroclamus giganteus, is doing great, actually. Even though it gets a lot of sun, it's full sun actually in Southern California, which I don't recommend. I would give it some part sun, it'll do better. But it did not abort any of its new growth this summer. So I'm very, very excited about that. I think it's because I've been applying earthworm castings and Vermistera earthworm casting tea, and it's just so much happier. Look at that, it's amazing. So there is some leaf damage you can see, but it's definitely minimal. Not a big deal at all. So, man, I'm really happy that Dendroclamus giganteus just has a little bit of leaf damage. Overall, you can see it's great. All right, let's go see some more extreme examples. I have some things that are not exciting to report. I guess bad news. So here is some more extreme damage. This is a rare aloe hybrid called Aloe Cujo that I moved into the full sun in the spring. And it had a little bit of damage earlier this summer, but you could see the last heat wave has cooked part of it. Now luckily I have several pups throughout the yard, and this plant does better in part sun, as you can see. So if you give it full sun, just that extreme weather in Southern California, those heat waves we're getting now, just really, really damage certain varieties. Look at this. This is probably the worst in the yard, and this is one of many Aeonium crested sunbursts that I have, and this one is rooted. It's been here about a year, and you can see just that extreme weather has really cook this thing this year. So I would definitely recommend not putting a crested Aeonium sunburst into full sun. Now this is my newest purchase, which is kind of a bummer, but I think it's going to be okay. It's an African tulip tree, which has been on my wish list for a long time, but you can see how much leaf loss it had this week. Now it does have some new growth there. It's looking okay. But man, what a bummer. So I really hope this thing survives. Otherwise I'll try to get a refund. Now, I did have it in this back corner here by the bamboo, and I totally thought that that would be plenty of protection. As you can see, extreme weather can do amazing things to plants. My king palms got worked. It's almost the whiter the leaf, the worse it will be, which makes sense because it was like a sauna for 3 or 4 days. And here's my biggest bummer, or the biggest bummer in my opinion, is my King Kong fishtail palm, my favorite palm tree. Now, it would be less severe if it had some shade, some additional shade, but actually with the leaves this wide, there's really nothing you can do. So I have a few of these King Kong fishtail palms and they all got damaged like this, but it does have some new growth. All right, let me go show you one more tree that I saw that was pretty damaged. So this is the Magnolia tree, and you can see just the amount of damage, man, that intense dry heat does to these plants with wide leaves. So I haven't seen this much damage on this plant, and this tree was here since we moved in, so it's at least 15 years old, I would estimate. So it was a very, very intense heat wave. Big bummer. Now, the good news is that certain varieties, like Grevilla, they actually just thrive in the heat. So even though I had some damage here, let me go show you a few examples where the plants just really thrive and actually respond in a positive way from this intense heat wave. So here's another plant that thrives in this heat, especially once they're mature, is my pink ice Protea. It gets a second bloom cycle. Now this actually could be the third bloom cycle this year. Actually, it's the third, so you can see it just doesn't mind that heat at all. It just wants to bloom and promote some new growth, you can see. So definitely zero damage on certain varieties of Protea. They just love the heat waves. I highly recommend this one. It's pink ice. And it's just a bloomer, prolific, and very tall. So this part of the yard receives part sun, and you'd never guess there was an intense heat wave a week ago. Now, this is Grevilla Peaches and Cream, and I don't know why more people in Southern California don't grow these plants. They're the most underrated plant in Southern California. They're drought tolerant. They are hardy to frost. They bloom all year. You don't need to fertilize them because fertilizers will actually kill them. And they attract hummingbirds and more. So I don't know. I hope to see more Grevillas out and about in the future. You can also see this Cape Plumbago is doing great. I see very little damage. I see zero damage from the heat wave. All right, so there you go. Most of the plants fared well, luckily, in the collection, but I am gonna really think twice about growing avocados in the future because they have not been doing well for the past 5 years. I'll probably think about growing more Grevilla because they're just beautiful. All right, take care.